Welcome back to part 5 of your first analytics engineering project. In part 5, we're going to go through the data visualization stage. We're going to be looking to build out that report for our marketing director to analyze the duration that a deal is open for. And again, just like with Fivetran and dbt Cloud, we're going to create a user role and warehouse for Tableau. And that again will make auditing and governance and figuring out who's driving costs on the warehouse much, much easier. So you'll thank me later for setting this up. I'm just going to run this. And now we're ready to begin setting up Tableau. We're going to use Tableau's free version. On tableau.com, you can do a free trial. But what I like even better is if you head on over to tableau.com/developer, you can join them as a developer and you'll get issued your own Tableau server, and you can do all your reporting on the web. The other option is to use Tableau online, but then potentially you don't want people looking at your data. Sign in, and then click Join Us. You'll then get brought to this portal for Tableau developers, where you can request to get a free Tableau site set up for you to do your data visualizations in, and request a site. And again, you've got to fill out that same information again, but get site. And then you'll shortly get an email from Tableau saying how to set up your site. Yeah. Got the activation email from Tableau in a couple of seconds, and I will just name my site. I'll click Activate My Site. This is your Tableau developer site. You'll get a few templates and pretty looking dashboards that you can play around with if you'd like to learn more about Tableau. But for us, we're going to first of all create a new data source. So I'll just click on New, and I will create a new published data source. And what we're going to do first of all is just create a data source to connect to our warehouse. I'll click on this connectors tab. I'll search for Snowflake. And I'll just type in our server, the role that we created before. I've just filled out my server role, as well as setting up my username and password. I'll click Sign In. And we'll select our warehouse that we created. And we gave ourselves access to your first analytics project database. And then select your schema, whatever you created in dbt Cloud. And we can create a data model. So we'll just bring in our fact deal history. We'll just create a simple data model where we're going to join that to our dimension dim company. Now, it might be worth having more fine-grained access control so that your report developers don't accidentally use your staging models, or even maybe your intermediary models you might not want them to be using. But for now, we'll just have everything available. And we can now publish this data source that we've created, and it can be used for multiple reports. So you could build a report and build the data source within it, or you can create a data source separately and then use it many times for reports all across Tableau. So we'll do the best practice for publish as, and we will, in fact, what we would do is we will create a new project, and we'll use that. So I'll just create that back in our Tableau developer site, and then flip it back to our projects. I need to republish this, and there you can see we have our project name again, and I'll just call this deal stage history. I'll just click embed credentials so that anyone using this data source doesn't have to use my credentials. Cool. So that data source has been published. Now I can go back onto the Tableau developer portal. And if I go into Explore and into our new project that we've set up, we've got this data source, and we can now create a workbook to start visualizing that data. So on this site, we've created this deal stage history data source. I'll connect to that. And now we're into Tableau's reporting interface. We've got our data source over here, as well as all the columns that belong to that data source. You'll notice that it still recognizes that it's built from two different tables, the fact, deal history, and our DIM company. And so just a quick brief background on Tableau. Each of these columns, known as pillars in Tableau, will behave differently depending on if they are green or blue. Blue signifies if they are discrete, whereas green signifies if they're continuous. So it changes the visualizations that you are able to use. So let's start analyzing. So we know we need to look at the duration in seconds, and we're interested to look at this by company. So we want to look at an average duration in seconds by company. So we can go and grab that from our companies table. We can either drag these pills onto the canvas in various different combinations, or you can click on the Show Me button, which will show a range of visualizations. And as you pan across, you'll see that at the bottom here, you'll say what types of fields you need to generate one of these visualizations. So for this one, we're looking at a Gantt right now, and it says that we need at least one data dimension, which we currently haven't selected, and one regular dimension and two measures. So we don't want to visualize our Gantt chart. We want to look at something more akin to like a stacked bar chart, see how that looks. Put that in. So right now, it automatically put company as color. Let's just bring that over to our columns. And we can see the amount of time we've been doing deals for each different company. Now, each company may have different numbers of deals. So let's change this from a sum to an average. And we can just go to the pill here and change the measure from the aggregation of the measure from sum to average. That'll be a better comparison. So each company is still very much, Tesla is taking the longest in terms of closing out deals. Now let's start analyzing this by the deal stage itself. I'm just going to bring this to color. See this legend over here, and we can really see that there is this stage in our Tesla deal, the qualified to buy stage, where this deal was, or the average number of deals for Tesla really gets stuck. So maybe that's something that we can relay to our marketing director, that the account on Tesla seems to have an issue with qualified to buy stage. I quite like to switch this up. I'm going to go with lengthways, and you can always sort by the largest to smallest. So we can see our biggest problem is with Tesla. Now let's just do some slight formatting. Let's just change the sheet name to be time to complete deal. And you'll notice that that automatically updates the header over here. And maybe seconds is a bit hard. 55,000 seconds is hard to comprehend. Maybe we'll just have a look at this in minutes. So to do that, we can create measures on top of this data source. So all you need to do is click on this caret, click a calculated field, instead of average duration in seconds. Let's do this via duration in stage. Just call it min, and we'll just simply take our, just open up brackets and start typing duration in seconds. We can just simply divide by 60 to get minutes. Again, we can do is we can just have that newly created calculation. We'll right mouse button and drag it on top of the existing one. And what this does, when you right mouse button and drag it, you get to choose what type of aggregation occurs rather than just simply the default sum. So I'll change that back to average because we want to look at what the average deal is for each company. And even so, that's still a bit complicated. 900 minutes, maybe that's all right. We'll leave it for that for now. This is one way to look at it via company. Now let's create a visualization to look at some time series. It might be interesting to see over the time, every single time a deal closes, how old it was. Now, thinking about the data model that we have here, where we have one row per deal per stage event, that'll create a lot of duplicates. So we're going to change our grain up. We're going to go use that other fact table, that deal fact table, rather than the deal history, to look at just one record for a deal, the time it went to close stage, and the time it took to go from initially being entered into the system to being closed. So again, we'll create another data source, and we'll then bring that into this report. So if I go back into this project, I'll create new publish data source. Now you could do it in Tableau, the original data source with some nifty level of detail calculations, but for performance reasons, we'll just use our fact deal. So what we can do is go back to connectors. We can go to Snowflake. And again, we can type in our connection details again. Tableau have a paid data management add-on where you don't have to keep entering in the same server credentials each time, but for now, we'll stick with the free version. And we'll select our database. And this time we're dragging to the deal fact history. We will drag in just the fact deal. And again, we'll drag in company. And you'll notice that it already recognizes, oh, it doesn't recognize it in this case, but it's company ID on the left-hand side, and company ID on this side as well. Beautiful. And make sure you select the warehouse as well. And then we'll click publish. What we create in the future can use it. And I remember what we called the last one, but we'll just call it deals. Close that. And back in our report, we can drag in a new data source. So I'll just click on this plus data source symbol, select deals, and oh, got to sign in again. But if I clicked embed credentials, this wouldn't have come up, but I'll sign in anyway. Nice. So I can now toggle between the two data sources here. And if I want to create a new report, I can click on this button here, and I'll just use the deals data source for this analysis. So where I say I wanted to look at the time the deal closed. So deal, they're closed at, and I want to look at the amount of seconds the deal is open. Actually, let's create a measure to put it into minutes as well. So again, we'll click on the caret, create a calculated field, and we'll just, what did we call the metric previously? We called it duration in stage mins. So let's just call it something again. Just call it, the naming convention here won't be great, but just call it mins deal. And again, this is just going to be a derivative of the seconds. Deal is open by 60 metric. Grab that plus the close date, and we will drag them onto the canvas via the show me tool. I'd like to see a time series as a line chart. Here we go. So right now it's aggregated our closed out date as a year. I'm gonna delete this. I don't like that. I'm gonna change it to a day because we've only been ingesting data, creating deals in our HubSpot account for the last couple of days. And I can see this trend where I first created some deals in March 28, and later on I've created a few more deals, and there's been something going on really badly over here. But hey, that is our trend. So let's just call this sweet deals time. And let's call this other one by company. Let's just consolidate these two reports into one dashboard. So instead of clicking on the plus icon, which when you hover it says new workbook, we can create a dashboard. And we will just bring out both of these two reports onto the same dashboard. So we get a trend. Now we've got a trend over time, as well as looking at the averages by company. But we can definitely make this a lot prettier. But for now, we'll just move it bottom somewhere. Arrange the items single row maybe. Put it to the bottom. See our categories. There we go. And maybe we want to give this a title. Call this deal stage analysis. We'll just blow this up so that it's big and center. Maybe we just pull a text explaining what this dashboard is used for. So identifying bottlenecks in the sales lifecycle. And then let's publish this dashboard up. Let's publish it into our project. Let's just call this deal analysis. There we go. We've got a dashboard which we can show our marketing executive about potential issues that we can see that's been happening very recently. And we can see probably the culprit is these deals that we're doing with Tesla. If we go to the actual workbook, we can send the link to our marketing director for them to use. We could spend more time making this chart conform to more best practices, but I just want to get something out very quickly. We could even create metrics to watch, perhaps. We want to select this column here, and we want to look at it over time. So the bins open to all time. Like to compare it against historic, and we'll create this metric. Go to metric. We can see this metric, and that will now be available whenever we go into our first analytics project. You'll get to see the trend, and this will refresh, I believe, every single hour. So you'd extract many metrics from a dashboard and just plonk them into your project, and that'll be the first thing that people see. Just show me the actual value of 2,500 hours for today, for the time it took for deals to be closed. And I know that that's a massive increase of 3,200% increase from yesterday. That would be something that I'd want to investigate as that marketing. And we can then drill down into our report to find some more details of what might be going on in our dashboard. There is a full-on analytics lifecycle. The great thing here is if you enter more deals into your source systems like HubSpot, we've set up that Fivetran connection to constantly pick up that data. Depending on the time lag that you selected, we selected an hour, so every hour after deals have been entered or they've changed stages, this will then be reflected in this dashboard, and you'll get to see what is going on in business from within Tableau.